Mary Akers first kept hermit crabs when she lived in Florida in the late 1990s. Later, she lived among them in the Turks and Caicos Islands and was thrilled by the sounds that their clacking shells made as they emerged in the evening to begin their nightly forage. Many years later, after she became an empty nester, a friend and fellow pottery enthusiast offered her the last remaining hermit crab that had belonged to their daughter. Strangely drawn to the idea of keeping hermits again, Mary accepted the single crab, but told her husband she would only be temporarily crab sitting. And isn't the first sign of a rapidly developing obsession denial? She proceeded to research crab care online and found that everything she thought she knew about their care was wrong. She fixed things daily, and her colony grew to 2, and then 4, and then 6, and then more. The tank size grew to a 55-gallon on loan, and then a 120 tall found on Craigslist. By that time, Mary was completely hooked on the beauty of a well-built crabbitat and the strange, mysterious moves of its inhabitants. She read about successful breeding attempts in the HCA forum, and when she discovered that her crab had eggs, she knew she would have to try giving the babies a shot at life. 4 years and 9 attempts later, she has successfully brought more than 1,000 baby hermit crabs to land and created a breeding program that, with the help of Land Hermit Crab Owners Society, is slowly changing the captive-bred hermit crab industry. These simple methods that follow are her attempt to get others successfully breeding land hermit crabs too. Please welcome my mother, best friend, and favorite crab lady, Mary Akers.
So this is my live session for breeding. I will need to leave briefly on the hour to set up the next main stage talk. And I'll try to keep an eye on that. If someone sees that I'm not keeping an eye on it, keep me on schedule, tell me to go do that. But I'm hoping we're getting everything going. So, also, I just wanted to say I'm here as a resource. It's not a canned talk. It's not a prepared presentation. I have some notes. I have other breeders who are going to be in here in the space, I'm guessing, and can also help answer questions. My intent was to have something a little more prepared, but with the move and everything, I focused more on the conference than this particular session. So, however, I have most of the knowledge here. I have notes, and I can get back to you if it's something I don't have an answer on immediately, because my brain is a little full. I feel like I'm getting that. I should put that error message. Too much information, error, doesn't compute. But anyway, so we're doing great with breeding. We have made tremendous strides. I still have many, many, many babies for adoption. I'm hoping that CrabCon will kick a lot of people into gear, because really the only way that captive breeding succeeds is if there's people on the other end. I could captive breed thousands of babies, and if nobody adopted them, that doesn't accomplish anything. I could give them to pet stores to sell. That doesn't accomplish anything. The reason the adoption fee is high is sixfold probably, but the intensive time that's involved in just getting them to land, the cost of supplies and creating a new tank and figuring everything out, the cost of keeping them for a year until they're old enough to adopt out. I defy anyone to show me an exotic pet that has all those requirements and is anything less than $500. And we are not charging $500 for crabs, but we are keeping it high because that's the only way people are going to learn to value hermits. If we give them away, if we sell them at the same price as the pet store, that really doesn't change anything. It just demeans captive breeding. It also means no one else will try, because even though I may be willing to volunteer all this time, I guarantee you, if we're going to get enough for captive breeding to work, you're not going to have breeders that are going to do it all and sell their crab for $6. So plus overnight shipping, yada yada, all those things. So anyway, that's my soapbox, and I'll get off it now. I'll just look on the comments. Yay, Darcy's here. Darcy, if you want, you're welcome to come on camera. I don't know how you feel about that. If you want to be in the chat only, that's fine. If you'd rather answer on camera, you're welcome to join me. I don't at this point have anyone, I'll let breeders in. I'm not going to let the average people in to ask questions because it gets muddled and it makes me feel anxious. So I'm trying to keep this workable for me. Internet to drop out. Yeah, risky. It's true. It's true. And a lot of people are appalled that we sell them this cheap or adopt them out for this cheap. I do try to differentiate that they're not being sold, that it's an adoption fee. It's a fine balance, but all the money goes back into the program. So I have no problem calling it an adoption fee. So I believe Darcy's on day 9 with their recent attempt. We were just messaging about some unusual things they're seeing, but it seems like it's nothing scary or catastrophic. So as I recall, we have Darcy breeding currently. Last year we had Rizky do quite a few attempts with eggs donated, in some cases by Felix, from a dark perlatus, which will be really interesting to see if we get that color variation in the offspring. He got them to land, but I believe, Rizky, you can correct me, definitely got a bunch of megalopa to the transition tank. I think a few came to land. I believe there were ultimately no survivors, but that's a huge advance forward. He definitely perfected the chrysal, the filtered chrysal, which I want to try this year to make my life a little easier. So it seems like all of us who are attempting breeding have parts of it that we're best at. Rizky's got it down for that chrysal man. I think I've probably got it down in the transition. I'm pretty good about getting them to land from the water. And we'll see with everybody else where their strength lies. Darcy's strength right now is definitely in educating everyone about the process and spreading awareness and talking about it. So I'm just really grateful. Stacy Bolts has tried numerous times. I don't know if you have a number, Stacy. It's got to be 12, 15 with Ecuadorians, which Darcy tried with Ecuadorians. I tried with Ecuadorians last year, Compressus. They appear to be the hardest species. I had 4 different spawns last year from one female. I estimate it was 30,000 eggs or Zoe that I got to try with. Out of those 30,000, successfully still alive, I have 3. So E's are very difficult. They're going to be one of our biggest challenges. This year, Darcy and Brooke and Faith have agreed to try a new system with us. We're going to attempt. Somebody's got to be the first. Somebody's got to try it. We never know until we try. They're going to attempt to ship me overnight live Zoe and see if they make it and if I can then continue to learn about Compressus and Ecuadorians. They have bought the equipment that we think we'll need. Again, trial and error. So we're going to give that a go and keep your fingers crossed. This would be a next level thing if we can have people ship Zoe to breeders, and then the breeder takes over where the owner can't or doesn't want to or can't try it. So that's pretty exciting. We'll keep you. I'm sure they'll keep you posted on Krebs Central Station. But okay, let me see. Oh, there you are. Yes, I'll add you, Darcy. Awesome. I should let you talk about this instead of me. Here she comes. Hi.
Guys. All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. I'm sure others probably can too.
Good
Look at you, Chrysal there.
Yes. Yeah, nice and clean. So we took a lot this morning to get it cleaned up, but anyway.
Is it day 9?
Yes, day 9.
Awesome. Awesome. You still worried about day 11?
Yes. Yes, of course.
We have our trigger points, don't we? Oh, not that day.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know, the lighting is weird, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I also wanted to mention a couple more people. Laura Carroll did a great job last year with round fishbowl. That was her method. She got, I don't remember how, I'm sure she's in here. I don't remember how many you got to land, Laura. They didn't make their final molt in the sand. That's my understanding. Correct me, Laura, if I'm wrong. But they were in shells, they climbed out, they were on land. So we just have so many aspects of this that we have to figure out. Sue Brown has been making incredible strides. I believe starting to feed her Zoe early on, which it was believed they didn't eat before that, but now she's feeding, started with Nanochloropsis, and I believe has added several coral foods. You have over 40, right, Sue, on land now? Easily, I think. Maybe 40 just with the last batch. So anyway, there will be a lot of variability available, I believe. So we've got quite a few breeders under our umbrella. Can you think of anybody I'm missing, Darcy? Oh, Kelsey Fainer did a couple of attempts, is sort of half hoping to get another attempt this year.
I think, did Dan try one time also in mason jars?
Dan had straws. Beautiful, got a beautiful video of them spawning. He works full time, so he was working on trying to perfect a method for people who work full time, right? Like levels to what we need to work through to make it doable for people. All of us are working on different aspects of it. What would you say your big thing is, or what's your thing you're working on?
We're just trying to make water changes more manageable. They're the most time consuming, and it's just really tiring on your eyes and just
and your fingers, that whole binge.
Yes, my hands are so sore. Yeah, and so we set up 2 complete stations since we have 2 or 3 of us here all the time to try. But I mean, yesterday we spent 3 hours. Brooke and I together at the same time spent 3 hours yesterday.
I thought you were doing. Was it a shed day?
Yes. So non-shed days go pretty quick. Shed days, whole nother ball game. And I think too, those couple of days where we had like really quick water changes, they weren't really pooping yet. So add in the pooping and the sheds, and it's just really takes a long time. Yeah. So that's the big one for us.
Do you siphon out the sheds when you're doing the water change? Do you actively try to get them out, or how do you do that?
So what we've been trying is one change, we hold the flashlight at the front here and we clean the back half of the Chrysal really, really well. And then we'll just come up here in the front and try to get any like big Artemia that's swimming around, or obvious like floaties, things like that. And then the next water change, we switch and we put the light at the back and do the front.
Cool.
Really well. So yeah, I mean, thing is, it seems like the Zoe is like all stuck in the debris, and they could be eating it. I mean, I think they are eating it, but in order to save them and put them back in here, we have to like blow them out of the debris just to be able to see them. Because when you take the pipette and like blow on the debris, it puts up in the jar, and then you can see the Zoe.
Yeah,
So you
I got that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did today. So I started the water change, and then my youngest daughter needed a ride to work. So I ended up putting some water from the holding tank just to make sure it was like they could have like only that little bit of dirty water. And then I put an air stone in there. I mean, it was 20 minutes. I just had to drive and come back. But when I got back, that air stone had broken up a lot of that debris, which made it easier to find them.
I wonder why it's so clumpy.
I don't know, because these crystals look so clean to me.
Yeah.
How can there be that much stuff in there?
I know. You try also, I think this worked for me, tipping your wastewater and then puffing, so very quickly the debris drops to the tilted side, and the Zoe take a little longer to drop, and you might be able to get more like that. You can too, but you can cut the end off your pipette and get it a little wider and maybe get more if that works for you. Yeah, I think you already did that, but
Yeah,
yeah. Are you using marine snow?
we are, and we're using less because we had the same thing, and then it was just so much floating in the debris. So we just cut down on the amount not the amount of times a day we're feeding it, but the amount each time we cut down a little bit.
I think it's designed to do that for coral, you know, but yeah, I actually didn't use it last year. I started using it in the beginning. I thought maybe I didn't order more, and I didn't end up using it, especially after the very beginning, because it is such a small particulate thing. I think it might be good in the very first days, but you could probably, unless you're using it thinking that the Artemia that are in there that are hatched might eat it and be.
So we're putting it in the Artemia hatchery. We're dropping simmering snow in there.
I don't think I would do that. I think I would, and that's like just increasing the nutrient load. When they're hatched, their egg sacs are pretty nutritious already. And if you start gut loading the Artemia, then you're going to get them pooping in your water too. You know, so I never fed my Artemia. I just fed them to them. And then when they're in the chrysal, they're going to get nanochlorosis and other things. But maybe that would cut down on your, I mean, since we're just spitballing here, waiting to see what sticks.
Yes, that sounds good. We'll try that. I haven't been able to confirm if the strawberry has eggs, but she's acting like she does. She just is shy. You know, I haven't had her very long. So Brenda donated 2 female strawberries to the program, and we picked them up after the big ice storm. So that was back in February. So, and they went down and molted pretty quickly once we got them. And so they're, I think, not really that comfortable yet, but hopefully she'll give me a look soon. I think she does.
Can you tell people just a little bit about the podcast that you did in case they missed it or hadn't heard anything about it, where they could find it?
Yeah, sure. So we were invited to do podcasts on animals at home, and you can find them on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. There's a lot of different places, but basically, you know, it was interesting because they usually stick to reptiles, and so it was fun to be able to branch out to crustaceans. But the host, Dylan, he was amazing, and he did a great job. We really blew his mind, and you know, I think what he was most excited about was all of the science that our community is so involved with and just committed, you know, to working together in a positive way and not in a judgmental way, and just, you know, sharing knowledge and mentoring each other like you're doing with us, Mary. And so he was really, really floored, I think, at how much yes. At hermit crabs at all, actually. Just, you know, as an animal, he was really impressed. He didn't know as much about it, but also just on the research and the science side of it, blew his mind. So, and we've had some people join the channel from that podcast and have been really very helpful in giving us some hints just through this breeding process as well. We had somebody comment about the price. I know you were just talking about that when I was trying to get this set up, but it was the sweetest comment, and we've had several people comment after him saying, yeah, that the $50 price is low. That, you know, when you go through this type of process and you start to breed animals, that they will increase in their value. It will change mindset. It just takes time. And he was just talking about how that happened with, you know, snakes and, you know, back in the day. And anyway, it's really cool comment. And so I think, you know, it takes time, but the word's getting out there. So
yeah. Yeah, it's really good. And that ultimately helps breeders in the future to reward their effort. It helps keep wild hermit wild. You know, there's just so many levels on which I think what we're doing is really going to change the industry. I can't wait to talk with you more, Sue, as yours get older and we have to think about helping them adopted or however you want to work that. You probably don't want to keep 40. Maybe you do. I don't know. I kept 20. But yeah, so it's going to be really good. I have a podcast coming out in October. The person who runs the podcast is named Peg. She is a very experienced journalist with a long resume, and she started the podcast during the pandemic. It's titled Alone Together. She's just exploring what it meant and still really how it will change how we interact and how the pandemic has led us to pursue different, reach out to one another in different ways, learn to be alone, you know, just all of those. She takes on a lot of topics, and we talked for, oh my gosh, I don't know if she's in here, but we talked for, I think it was at least 2 hours. Great conversation. She has reached out to Carol Ann Orms. I don't know if you've heard from, if you've responded to her, Carol Ann. I gave her your email. She may be still gathering information. She's attending CrabCon to get even more information. She's super interested about the breeding. So all of those kinds of things that we do, they're not always easy to be on and be the face of something that's so new that, I don't know about you guys, all of you, you're right here, Darcy, but just to just responsibility on and be the face of breeding when I'm myself, you know, like okay, I'll tell you what I know, but
yeah.
I thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, well, we wouldn't be where we are without you, so we thank you.
Started without Sue, so thank you, Sue. Like, you know, we're this thing that just, oh, and the other huge advance, which is, you know, on an outward level, you don't know breeders, the huge advance that Sue has is she has a second generation captive, not both parents, but the father, the sire, whatever you call it, in is a captive bred baby who is now making babies. So these babies she's getting on land from Monster, her captive bred baby who grew really fast, hence the name. Sue, that's just amazing. So, you know, all these little milestones. I'm going to look through the comments and see.
Yeah. So to get ready for shipping the Ecuadorian Zoe to Mary, I'm going to create this little, I'm going to call it the birthing suite, which I actually put together for these Zoe, but I added some substrate. And Risky, he laughed at me. He's like, sand, huh?
Good call.
Yeah.
I thought it was too. I was right there with you.
And at the time I was like, I want her to be comfortable. She needed some food and I wanted her to have a little plant, you know, like anyway, yes, I was sad about that. The following day when it took me so many hours and she dumped, some of those eggs, which this chrysal is only the eggs from the sand. So let's just see what happens with it. And then the other chrysal are the Zoe that she spawned in the water pool of that little thing that I created. So, but for the E's, because we're sending them and we want to be able to get them in the mail right away, I'm going to create the same type of thing, but I'm just going to drill some holes in that little clear keeper and use all light filter and create a platform for her to sit on, and then, the ladder down into the water. And that way, even if she drops them up on that platform, they'll fall through to the water. If not, I can get a pipette and squirt them down into it, and they'll hatch. And so that's what I need to start working on that, because we're looking at probably, I think, about a week, maybe 9 more days.
I was hoping it wasn't like tomorrow.
No. Next weekend, I think, should be getting pretty close.
Okay. That's, every time we reach a level of something that we think is the pinnacle of nerve-wracking, we go beyond that. Something a little more nerve-wracking to do.
Yes.
With the babies, Crab Central Station? That's a question.
Well, I mean, if we get them to land, we're still a long way away. So, and this is only our 3rd attempt and our first purple pincher. So, keeping it real. But, they'll go through Hermit House breeding adoptions, just like you can get any of Mary's babies. And so you'll have to just hop online and fill out an application and pay your adoption fee, and then they'll be shipped out. So,
pretty exciting. We're going to have a doctor. We're going to have people all over before you know it.
Although Brooke and Faith have claimed first dibs. They want to take some to college.
Plus, I don't know about you, but keep this in mind. Speaking about the 2nd generation, you want to select for the traits that you want to continue if you're going to keep them. So for me, for the babies I kept, I selected almost for sociability, right? Crabs that you put in your hand and they don't run away, they don't take forever to peek out, that are interested. So I selected for those. Ironically, when I thought I had Ecuadorians at first in 2019, I was sure I had, because I had the 2 different colored Zoe. That was 2018 maybe. Yeah, it was. Because in 2019, the adopters were trying to pick I picked the tiniest ones thinking, oh, these are E's. So I have a mix in there now of really shy ones and tiny ones that I thought were Ecuadorians, and I was for breeding. But so, yeah, I'll have to just figure it out.
Yeah.
We don't know if they crossbreed. We don't keep them separate at this time. We haven't. People have mating behavior, not confirmed mating, cross species. They've subsequently seen eggs. Those eggs have never been spawned in the wild. They don't believe. So Felix can, if he's in here. Oh, I'm getting close. I need to set up the next talk. But Felix believes some of the species he's seen have crossed over. So he's able to answer that. Darcy, pop. But if you can look at the comments for just a minute, I'm going to set up the main stage talk. Since Casey's in pain. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. We got some of the smaller ones when we drove up to New York thinking that they were E's also. I haven't been keeping up with the chat. I'm sorry, guys. I'll look back and see if I can answer any of the questions. Shipping them, I see a question about shipping them. So they are shipped in a small container that has moist moss in there. And they're shipped overnight, so they're only, in the mail for 12 hours or so, give or take a few. Also, we work with the adopters to make sure that you're going to be home the day that they're shipped. You get a tracking number so that you can see exactly where they are in the route. Also, Mary, and if we end up getting any Sue, we'll all make sure that the weather, where the babies are going and coming from, it's a good time to ship. And sometimes that has to be changed at the last minute because a heat wave comes through or a cold front or something like that. So, but weather is an important factor to keep in mind as well. We've been shipping them through UPS overnight, and it's been looking great. So. Somebody said Darcy lives in Florida. I live in Texas, actually, Central Texas. Oh, that's true. Yeah, Jesse was saying that if you live close to a local facilitator, a regional facilitator, you can pick up babies there rather than having them shipped. So that makes good.
Yeah. We also have a crab taxi that we're working on. So like 5 or 6 hours away from a facilitator. We have people working on a convoy. So someone drives an hour, meets someone, the next person drives an hour, meets the next person. Like we have the best community out there, and we can get babies to people. The only thing we can't do is international shipping at this time, but that's perhaps on the horizon. I also needed to up last year. I think it was during CrabCon. Yeah, I was in ORA, Oceans, Reefs, and Aquariums. They are a captive breeder of reef fish, Caribbean mostly, in Florida. And they were interested in the captive bred babies. They are not interested in the price point. They sell to Petco. They sell to PetSmart. They couldn't see our price point. And I'm also not sure I want to sell to Petco and PetSmart just yet. Maybe if they get things a little better. I wouldn't be selling, but if I sell to a wholesaler who then sells to them, it's like I'm selling to them. So those talks fell apart. Whatever. We decided that we were not. Our goals were not mutually compatible at this time. But I have since been contacted by Josh's Frogs. They are they in Michigan? Darcy, do you remember? Michigan, Minnesota? Yeah, I can't remember. They only sell captive bred animals. They have very ethical practices. They are very strict about how their animals are kept and bred and housed and shipped and everything. And they would like to get some captive bred babies to take to their next show to gauge interest, to educate, to show people. And we're going to have a Zoom on the 19th. I told him I had to wait till after CrabCon and after the week of shipping after CrabCon and everything I got to do. But so we're going to have a Zoom on the 19th and discuss options. So I'm guessing they're wanting a few is a stepping stone to perhaps helping to distribute them and get them adopted out. They wouldn't vet every adopter, which we are doing. Anna Keel and her team are doing that at this time. We understand that's the next step. We can't say, vet every adoption. We can if they're going through us, through me, but if they're going through someone else, we just have to let that happen. And by going with a company like Josh's Frogs, who does their due diligence and who has appropriate pricing, I think we're setting ourselves up for the best, next best option, better than Petco for sure.
I think that's where the price really comes into play because, at the price Hermit crabs are right now, it's an impulse buy most of the time. Nobody really has to put a lot of thought into it because it's just not that big of an investment. So they're like, if it doesn't go well, it was, $15 or whatever, and that was for everything. But when you increase the price, then people are more cautious, about purchasing that animal, and they usually want to know more about how to care for them because they don't want, this pet that they just spent $50 on to die in 2 weeks or a month. And so they do some homework, they listen to the person selling it, take their advice. So, that's part of, I think, where the price plays a big role in telling people, hey, there's something to this animal. It's, there's specific needs, take some time to learn them, take care of this investment. Are you ready to commit to it? And that sort of thing. So I think, that's really important.
Awesome, Sue. Get you a official Hermit House breeder certificate and stamp and everything, and we'll help you find homes. I know there's, and in the Aussie group, I'm sure they have people, but yeah, we will definitely. Speaking for Anna Keel, who does all of that hard work, and her talk is running right now. So if anyone wants to see that, it's I think your 40-minute talk. You still have time to watch it and stay in here. You should, because this ends at 12:30. But if you want to leave, no problem. My feelings. It's hard to do everything. Abby, a couple of people. Oh no, that's a different question. Inbreeding. Yeah, we don't know at this time what that involves. Sue's captive bred baby was only one parent, so no. I haven't got that, but I will probably separate them and have, if I have females, I'll try them. With well, that's their father. Yeah. So we got to think about this. As of right now, we're not sure it would make a problem. As breeders are getting more babies to land, we'll be able to trade them. Dark babies would not be related to my babies. Eventually we can do a swap of males and females and keep the DNA from getting too restricted. So yeah. Have to worry about that. I think as long as we're being careful and ethical and aware of it, I don't think it will be a problem. We can only do what we can do, and we have to get more successful captive bred babies to breeding age. Fortunately, in my case, I have, excuse me, for the purple pinchers, had like 6 different females with eggs. So those are mixed. I have one male who is in charge of servicing all the ladies. And in fact, all the males that I did have switched to female to accommodate Mr. Kermit. I only have one, except the babies. I had the babies last year. The 2018 babies were 2 years old. And I saw the first signs of interest in mating. It was super interesting. The adults were almost letting them practice. Like there was a large female who had a bunch of 2 or 3 males around her that were trying to stroke the shell. Like it was almost like she was just being like, okay, boys, almost got it, try it. And then they were watching the adults when mating was going on. So I think that's one of the things that they sort of learn in their colony as they're growing up, what's involved in mating, the successful ways to do it. So
it's been really interesting since we've done our new big build. Most of our mating has been taking place up high in the toppers, like in the trees, which didn't happen last year.
That's weird. Yeah, I wonder why. Mm-hmm. Wonder if they do that in the wild. I don't know that that's ever been observed.
Very strange. And that's strawberries, Ecuadorian. Well, purple pinchers, we didn't see them mate. So I don't know who the father is of this set here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about them.
Yeah. There's just, I think though, I'm probably speaking for you as well, Darcy, but I think that's one of the things I just love about this is that there's so much to learn. And there is always, another level to go to or another thing to, like even just species to species, we're learning that they're so different as Zoe from birth. They're so different. And, ideally we'll get to a point where we have methods species. The more we do it, the more we can fine tune it, the more we can spread that information. I also wanted to say I am not breeding purple pinchers this year. I just can't. It would be irresponsible of me. I have too many babies to adopt out. So I will be covering the large saltwater pool so they don't spawn in there, and just giving them salt water to drink during the time that spawning will occur. And probably they'll cast them on the sand and have caviar feast. I'm not exactly sure. If local to me, I'm in Blacksburg, Virginia, wants to give it a try, I would consider allowing them to spawn and Zoe and transferring them to someone else to try, because the more of us try, the better knowledge base we get. It's just super important to have people trying. So if I have that, if I know I have someone interested in that, I'd be to allow that to happen, knowing that they would be still attempted, but I don't want to see them in the saltwater pool and have to pour them out. I don't want to do that. Eggs on the sand or swimming babies looking at me in the pool are another. I can't do that. I just seem to be incapable of doing that. So as you know, Darcy, you spent hours and hours picking every last one out of the muck.
Yeah. And then after we do that, it goes in this waste bucket jar. Like you go, first I put them out of here. And then when we're done, we pour it into here so that we can just keep going. Yeah, and then I still look at that jug again, the whole thing. I redo it, which I probably shouldn't. And Faith was like, Mom, why are you doing that? Like, I can't. Like, there might be one. And there usually is one or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Flick, flick, flick.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. But I'm like, that could be the one. That could be the one that makes it to land.
I know. That's what I kept saying. You could be, or like the starfish thrower foundation thing made a difference for that one. Like, are you making a difference? How can you make a difference with this? Such a big thing. Made a difference for that one. Made a difference for that one, right? We're trying.
Exactly.
Christine, I think birds must be easier. The mama bird does all the work. We're the mama crabs. We're the ocean. That's what I tell myself. I have to be the ocean and give them what they need. And it's not easy being the ocean, is it, Darcy? Turns out it's hard to be the ocean.
It is. And I love what you were saying earlier. It's like a double-edged sword. This community is so supportive and so great. And I feel like we couldn't do it without this community, without their encouragement and just them just showing all the love. But at the same time, it also feels like I don't want to let anybody down. I mean, I don't ever want to be like having to make that announcement of
it's the worst.
Yeah, so it's kind of like both sides of it.
And nobody feels let down. We've let them down, but everybody is just so grateful to have people willing to try, to learn and to grow and to get there. But every breeder knows what you're saying. That is the other thing I tell people who want to try. Don't underestimate the emotional toll that it will take. Even if you're successful, it's really hard to comprehend, very hard to explain. But if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. It emotionally, every emotion out of your body, throws it around the room, mixes it up, like laughing one minute, crying the next. It's really, it's a big toll. So, but also the more people try and realize that too, the more people understand. It's not just time. It's not just money. It's also emotional. Sexy monster. That's a great name for him, Sue. Yay, Serena. Oh, Serena's she's hoping to get an attempt. We not to mention Serena. She has lilos now. Tell us, what species do you have? You can come on if you want, Serena. I don't know if you want to be silently applauding or not. But if you want to come on and talk about your efforts, you're welcome to. Sue, if you want to come on and talk about where you are in the process, we have about 20 minutes left. I don't want to monopolize everything. But
I think we found one other pair of purple pinchers mating a few days ago, so I haven't confirmed eggs, but I was talking to Serena because if we do confirm it, she's thinking about attempting with those Zoe while we do the strawberry, because they would be too close together. We would end up having too much of an overlap. Well, I mean, for me, trying to go to school, back to school and stuff. So I think if we confirm that and this little birthing suite works, she's an easy drive down the road, and so I think she might be willing to give it a try.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Most of us thought that purple pinchers were the hardest because they spend so much time in the water, but I think the trade-off is they're very hardy. They're light reactive. I think they're a little bigger than compresses. Hi, Sue. Fill us in and tell us what's happening with you. My goodness, you've been busy.
As you were drained, I threatened. I had a female in my salt pool last night and the night before, and I threatened her. I said, "You better not leave me, baby."
No eggs.
I can't do another lot. I've had 4 this year. And the fact that it's winter now and I do it in my laundry, which is the coldest room in my house, it's just been really hard. It's a lot easier in summer when the house is warm.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I've got no room either.
Right. Do you find a lot of evaporation when it's colder too, that you have to watch that?
Actually, yes. I had noticed that. It wasn't an issue during the summer, but because we're down at the moment to like 50% humidity, and I've noticed with this last lot particularly, the evaporation has been noticeable, even just 24 hour, or not even a 24 hour, sort of from one water change to the next. The evaporation has been quite noticeable. And I was sort of thinking, what's going on? Have I got the bubbler up too high or something like that? But then I thought, oh no, it's dry at the moment. So,
and the heat, adding the heat, yeah.
Yeah, well, see, in the summer here, our climatic humidity is usually about 70 or 80%, because we're in the subtropics. So there's so much moisture in the air that it doesn't necessarily evaporate so much. But now, because we're down to 50% and about 2 degrees overnight, Celsius, that is, not Fahrenheit. But yeah, it does get cold, and it has been noticeable. But I've taken them all out of the jars today, and I've got 53, I think, in the transition, and I put 44 of batches 1, 2, and 3 in the juvenile tank.
Wow.
A week and a half ago. Only one survivor from group 1, though. Just one.
I only had 2 the first time.
This isn't my first time.
Yeah, that's true.
First time for 4 years, but yeah. So Well, you're
And you've seen some pretty big differences in growth, right?
in shell choices, yes, because I've got some now in the juvenile tank who are still basically in their pinhead size shells, and others that are in shells that have got 3 or 4 millimeter openings.
Wow.
And it's just, you can see them side by side and they look, you think, is that a crab? Oh, yes, it is. But it's so tiny compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
But even the two, like Monster and Choco, they grew at totally different rates as well. And even now, Monster is probably twice the size of Choco. And they've been in identical conditions. They've had identical access to food. Well, other than the fact that one's obviously been a little piggy and eaten more. But yeah, they've been in the same conditions and they've grown heaps differently. So size isn't any indicator at all of age. But yeah, it was exciting to find out that they were definitely, because I saw the mating behaviour and I knew definitely that Monster was the father, whereas the first batch this year I didn't. But the second, third and fourth ones I did, because I noted the behaviour and I put on my calendar, check your saltwater pool today. And it was within a couple of days of each one. So yeah.
That's awesome. Do you recall if Monster had to see any other crabs mating, or was it completely instinct, huh?
I didn't have any females. He spent 4 years with his brother. And then when I put them into the big tank, I had 2 other males, both of whom didn't make their final molts. And then I got 5 females that I rehomed from somewhere up the coast, and there was 5 females and 1 male. 3 of those females and the male were tiny, and Monster was giving them a hard time. So I took the little girls and the little boy out and put them in Monster's old tank. So that left only Monster and the 2 bigger females, because they were as big as him and they could fend for themselves. And it was probably a month after I put them all back in the one tank that I had the babies. So I couldn't be absolutely certain that it wasn't the other male, except he was so much littler. I was pretty sure that it was either Monster or Choco. But as I said, for the lots 2, 3 and 4, I saw Monster mating, so I know that they're second generation. Yes.
That's very cool. No, it's very cool. It's very cool.
And it's now 2:20 a.m. Saturday morning here.
Oh man. Well, you look very alert for that, I'll tell you.
You can't see the bloodshot. Hang on, wait, I'll get closer. So are there other people here still? I hadn't watched the chat.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. I've been trying to just observe in my tank some of the other females of the other species. Have you noticed, like leading up to breeding season, your females behaving almost like they have eggs, but they don't? Like, is there some type of preparation that the females do right before breeding season? Are they releasing some kind of pheromone when they do that behavior? Like, our brevies have been doing that for days now. It's very like.
What do you mean, like leaning out of their shells and doing that kind of stuff? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've seen that.
No.
Could your brevy have eggs?
I keep shining a light in there to see it, but we've also seen it in the purple and several different purple pinchers in our tank. And I saw one of the lilas doing that a couple days ago too. I got some video of it. Maybe I'll send it to you.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. The pleopods maybe need some prep work, keeping them clean, getting them ready. You know, I've seen them use whatever it is, call it saliva in a crab, to sort of clean and fluff. And so I don't think we know, but I wouldn't be surprised, you know.
I'm trying to catch it, you know, that behavior, but then also like there are the eggs kind of thing, because I just have found that it's just all of a sudden started when all of my tanks started this crazy love fest over here, and now all, you know, other species are starting to do that. So
I don't even know where pheromones would be released. That's a question for Tudge later in the day. I don't know if it's something from their body or if it's like where they secrete, you know, when they're urea or whatever it is they're secreting from their glands by their eyes. That would be a good question for Dr. Tudge. Do we know if they have pheromones? For anybody who's in here, clearly you're interested about the inner workings of this. Dr. Tudge is going to have a lot to say. He was reading me off a lot of papers that have been published in 2020, and the list is really about hermit crabs, land hermit crabs, even not marine. So it's a pretty extensive list. So not only are we getting noticed on we being crabs and us are, you know, the scientists are starting to be more interested, and there's a work on larval survivability and the conditions, which I told him we're going to be very interested in. He has access to some of them have a fee. We'll have to see. There's one on how they make noise, which we've never known, and I don't know what the results are. He hadn't read it yet. He was going to be prepared today. A whole bunch of really interesting scientific papers came out during the pandemic. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's going to be good. And we have about 5 more minutes for this session. So I'm just gonna look and see if we have any more questions. Is that your shells?
Somebody was asking about shells. Yeah, and there's probably about 1,000 shells in there. They're so tiny. And I've got 3 jars which I have yet to go through with a pin and core eyesight and make sure that all the openings are clear. What I found with these is a lot of them I had a very sealed opening, which didn't look like sand or stuff. It looked like the actual old resident had sort of sealed it up. But yeah, I found a shell seller who's only 70 kilometres away from me. I drove up and collected these. Yes, I got some yellow land snail shells.
Nice.
And a whole pile of,
yeah.
Well,
yeah, I do.
Little blocks. And it was a whole heap cheaper. Somebody posted pictures and a link to somewhere selling shells, and they were like $200 and something for a kilo or something. I was going, what? And, you know, like these were $7.50 for 5 or something like that, and the little ones were only $3.50 for 100 grams. And I could not believe the price of the shells that somebody had posted. I thought,
well, those were Hawaiian, used for like leis or something. They're like super. Yeah, I think they were valuable for that reason. Although I'll tell you, I've had days where I'm like, I'll pay anything. Just give me something that I know they'll take. That work, you know, like give my left arm.
I drove 70 kilometres each way to get these the day I needed them.
Yeah, and I don't know about you. I pick them out after they move up. and you know, they're like gold, but they're so tiny, and they're now got sand in them. I find this shell management really hard.
My shells I've just taken out of the jars tonight, and they're sitting on a paper towel on my heater at the moment, drying. But then I thought, oh, I didn't rinse them, so they're going to be all salty. So I probably should have rinsed them in fresh water first. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I let them dry. You can rinse them before you use them again. But yeah, they got all. I could feel the crystals of salt on them because yeah.
What time's Dr. Tudge on?
1:30. So an hour.
How many hours? Hours? An hour?
Yeah.
Oh,
if you can stay up.
Oh,
take a 20-minute nap.
Because I would really like to see that live so I can participate in the discussion. So an hour from now. That's not going to be 1:30 though. Aren't they on the hour?
His is a session. He didn't want to do a talk. He wanted to do a live session. So it's going to be in person, and another reason to try and catch it live because you can talk right to it. You know, yeah. Okay,
I might go and have a cup of hot chocolate, and no, that'll put me asleep.
Take it.
I'll see.
Yeah, 20 minutes. You can do it.
If I do that, I won't wake up. I know that because it's late. But anyway, it's really great to talk to you all, and I thank you, Mary, for helping me out and listening to my panic in our Facebook group.
Absolutely. I owe you a lot, Sue. You started, so.
If we all keep sharing, we'll all get better.
Only way to do it.
Yep.
Congratulations, Sue.
On what?
Everything.
I'm 44 out of. See, that's the other thing. You guys talk about 2,000 or 3,000, and like I had 830 in that last.
Oh, you mean?
Yeah. No. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had 830 to start with.
Yeah.
So you guys seem to have more babies per batch.
Definitely.
There were fewer Ecuadorian than purple pincher.
Yeah.
So
and I
Brady
think
have like a million.
as well.
Yeah. I think maybe the Aussies don't have as big a clutches, batches, whatever. What do you call them?
Yeah, spawns. I don't know. I think also they may be larger eggs because they only have 5, they have that short larval stage in the water. So they may be going through some stages in their egg and already.
I have yet to see eggs inside the shell.
They hold them close.
My friends just don't show me this sort of stuff.
Sometimes I stand there for a really long time, waiting, hiding, with the lights. Yeah. So.
At least this time I was expecting them because I had seen the mating behaviour. I hadn't seen any mating behaviour in previous days until this year. Like when I got Monster and his batch. First I knew about that was when I had the Zoe in the pool, and I went, Natalie! And I literally rang her and I said, I've got babies. And she rang me straight back and said, no, I sent her a text message and she rang me straight back and said, good, I'll help you. You've got to do this and this and this. But and I didn't have anything prepared or anything. I got a few.
That just goes to show you, with a little ingenuity and perseverance. And
it's not that hard, technically. It's physically draining and emotionally draining. But technically, you don't really need a massively special setup.
Well, and variability. I tried it in jars for clypeatus, and I couldn't. It didn't. too hard. It was too hard for me with that many spawn, with 18 days. It was too much. Well, you've done more than 18 days if you add them all up, but at least maybe not right in a row. But
mine were almost a month apart.
that's what I've seen too. Yeah.
It's going. I'd just get the first lot done, and then the next lot would be starting, and then actually the first lot and the second lot were a month apart. The third lot were 2 weeks later. So the second lot had just gone out of water, and I put the next lot in, and then this last lot had been a month later.
Is it the same mom, the same mother?
No. It's actually all four are different females. All 4 groups are different females. So all of mine are only half related. So they're all got the same dad, and only because I think the other 2 males are smaller. I actually haven't seen Bones, the little male, for a long time, so he may not have survived. But we'll see. Anyway.
Well, out and make sure I've got things going on the other. I don't know if I leave as a moderator, if you guys can stay, but you're welcome to stay if it will allow you, or if you want to go back and catch Anna. But thank you everyone who came in and listened. Thank you, Darcy. Thank you, Sue. We're doing good work. We're going to change the industry. I believe it.
Cutting edge science.
in our living space, whatever. Yeah. We're doing it. All right.
Are you in the basement or?